We'll wait till everyone else sits down here. You all set, John?
Here, when you're ready.
Yeah. I'm trying to get everyone to sit down. Hi. Say anything? All right, we're going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to have you think about something here real quick. There's a lot of faces here that I know very well, and there are a lot of faces that I don't know at all. Think about the fact that someday you will pass on. Who are you going to get to talk about you when you're gone? Think about that. Now, I'm very privileged to have been chosen by John to speak on behalf of Susan. And I think Susan planned this, that the heat would be extreme and that we would suffer a little bit. She added something to my life that I didn't plan on. And I had a tooth blow up on Thursday and had it removed yesterday. So if I'm going to talk as clearly as I can, but if it isn't real clear, then I'll do the best I can. We're going to make this kind of brief because the weather is warm. I'm a little competitor here. Yeah. Are you okay? I think that when you choose someone to speak for you when you passed on, you would like to have someone who at least knew you somewhat and had a feel of who you were. Not necessarily what you were or what you did, but a feel of who you were. And I can say honestly that I had a feel for Susan and who she was. And I didn't realize this, but last night it became even more clear to me. I worked with Susan for several years at Edgewood. I was the spiritual director there, did a lot of public speaking, had a Monday night meeting that Susan used to attend. I gave weekend retreats. Susan and John made one of those. So I began to find out who this lady was, and I liked what I found. And last night, I have a program that I'm putting together, and it involves getting sponsorship of some sort. And so some of my friends who know a lot more wealthy people than I do asked me to go to the Gateway International. They're racing tonight, and last night they were just making up their times to see what position they took on the track. I have never been to a race car track in my life. No one ever invited me. I didn't ask anyone to take me. But because I was going to meet this man, I went along with my friend's plan. And I found out that the track on a day like today or yesterday is very hot. It's also very noisy. There's a lot of activity going on. There were times when I left my friend to hide in the shade. And we ultimately ended up, before the sun went down, in this magnificent bus, or whatever you want to call it, worth several hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when I walked into that bus, it was about time to eat, 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever it might have been. Now I knew this man was going to be extremely wealthy. All I had to do was look at the bus, and I knew that that was true. And he's in there cooking on a little stove. When we came in, I was introduced to him. He had no shirt on. He's just an ordinary little man with a pot belly. And I'm thinking in terms of how ordinary this man looks. And then I listened to him talk about all of the money that he has and all of the things that he does. And never at any time did he ask me what I did. It wasn't important to him. He was too busy doing what he did. And he told me how much charity he did. And when we got into the program that I had, very, very briefly, about touching and helping young people who are struggling with drugs, and this is what Susan and I talked about a lot, because I would see her at Edgewood. She had a different kind of job than I did, but we would talk to each other about the problems that were being created by the breakup of the family, by the little kids getting into drugs that we never knew existed before. And all of this was coming together. And when I started telling this man about the problems that these little kids had, he said, well, why don't you go get some grants, as if to blow them away. And grants is like, write something, get government money, get out of my way, let me have my own money, let me do what I want to do with it. And as the evening went on, I noticed that what he cooked were 2 little hamburgers. He didn't ask us if we wanted to eat. He didn't say when we came in, welcome, like Susan would. Susan never missed a person. Never missed one. I did not know her when she was struggling prior to being in recovery, but I did know her in recovery. I finally left that bus. I didn't know whether to thank that man or not. You know, usually you thank people when they at least recognize you. But you don't bother if they didn't know if you were even there. And I heard all about how he made all of these millions of dollars and how much good he's doing, but it's all scattered across the board. Just like we do, put it in a committee and let them take care of it. And I finally walked out and I said, I could hear all of the cars racing around. And earlier in the evening, I heard one car and waited for it to come back. And now they're all out there. And I asked my friend, I said, what's going on now? He said, this is called the happy hour. Because the race is on Saturday night, and so all the cars are out there and they're running and they're doing their own thing. And I thought, I've never seen this, I'll walk out there. And I was right close to the track. And I watched all those cars and I heard all the noise, and I just left somebody who was part of the noise of this earth. And he couldn't see what was real. And all of a sudden, I looked up into the sky, and it'll probably be similar to what will happen tonight. There were these wispy clouds, prettily painted with orange and yellow. And they were soft and they were gentle. And the first name that came into my mind, and it's probably because I've had Susan in my heart and mind for several days, was Susan. It was gentle. It was kind. It was just there. And if you walked into Susan's presence, she would greet you before you had a chance to greet her. I don't think she ever missed a human being. And that was one of the joys that I had in being with Susan, even though it was only periodically through the course of a day. Susan often came to my office because she knew I was similar to her in this sense that rules weren't terribly important to me, nor were they to Susan. So she knew she could always come to me and say, Frank, would you like to have a cigarette? And I would say, well, of course. You know, and I'd wrap up whatever I was doing and we'd go out and have a cigarette. And I didn't get into trouble for that, but Susan often did, because she would take a patient that was wandering on the corridor when she was supposed to be in her office and say, would you like to have a cigarette? And go out and have a cigarette with that patient. And then those things people find out. And they would say, don't you talk to patients. You know, then I'd hear about that from Sue. And I would say, Susan, live. Live. It's a human being. This is what it's all about. It's touching whomever you meet. It's seeing what is there. It is being a part of life. And you can't be a part of life unless you live. You have to be in touch with yourself. And because she was, we often talked about the spiritual life because she figured I knew something about it because I was the spiritual director. I don't know any more about it than you do. All I know is that it's living, just living, and being in touch with what is around you. And I remember one day she said, how do you do that, Frank? And I said, well, in the 12-step program we have 3 steps. Number 1, it tells us that we're powerless over everything. And if I'm powerless over everything, then I should just be a part of the power that is there. And then secondly, it says, and you depend on this power that is real. I can't deny it. I can't deny that you're sitting in front of me. I can't deny that you're able to hear. I can't deny that you're able to see. Did you make that? Or was that given to you? What was it given to you for? So that you could be a part of everything you see, everything you hear, and you have the emotions to go along with that. So that power is restoring me to something that power made, not what I made. And now I become a part of the creation. And I see you from a whole different perspective because I see myself. I know that I'm going to suffer. I know that I have pain. Everyone in this little audience here knows that that is true. You could all tell me if I said, okay, one by one, come up and tell me all about the pains that you have suffered in your life. Oh, we'd be here for the rest of the day or night or tomorrow. Everyone goes through that. What about the joys that you brought into that? Can you bring joy into your suffering? Can you see another human being just like you? What do you give to them? And that's what Susan was able to see. She was able to give to the patients when others wanted to just get their name and their number and how much is the bill going to be. Susan would bypass that and go right to the heart. How can I help you? How can I touch you? This is what life is all about. And I watched her grow in this. And I watched her struggle with it. And I wasn't around because I retired in January to see the ending of her days. But the memories I have of Susan is that she was a friend to everyone that she met. And the kind of work she did, there were new people to meet every day. Young, old, rich, poor, male, female, people who were suffering. And there was always that smile from Susan. And there was always that, let me give you a hug, or let me just help you through the first day. I know you're hurting. She could hear and feel a hurting spirit. And when I can get into that aura, then I have lived my life. I see life as a beginning and an end, as we know it. It was all going on before I arrived. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? And every time that I hear of someone passing away, I know that that's going to happen to me too. My day is going to come, and when somebody stands up and speaks for me, will they be able to say that Frank fitted in? Or did he bring a lot of chaos into your life? You know a lot of people like that. You hope they don't show up. Christmas time, I hope Aunt Matilda doesn't come. A lot of people like that. And I think when someone passes on, did she fit into your life? Did you fit into her life? The lessons that we learn are from each other. They're not in books, they're from each other. How do we touch each other's life? You have no concept of how much more time you have. How are you touching others' lives? And that's what I remember of Susan. That's what I learned from her. Don't ignore anybody. Don't pass them by. If you have something to give, what is it? Check it out first. Is it compassion? Is it joy? Is it cheerfulness? What is it that is going on inside of me for this short period of time? I think all of those in this group here that knew her were privileged to know her. I don't know how she fit into your life, but I know this, she fit in. She may have made some mistakes, but she fit in. That's the lesson that I've learned from Susan. What we're going to do this afternoon, I'm going to read a letter here, and I'm going to let you share some things. If you'd like to share whatever it is that's on your mind or your heart, just let me know, and you can come up front with me, or you can sit there and in the shade and share it. But there's one thing I want to read to you before we get into this open sharing. There's a little short paragraph here that'll sum up what I've been telling you. If I were to have somebody give my eulogy or say a few words when I passed on, I would hope that they felt comfortable enough to read this about me. And I hope they would be comfortable enough to read it about you. It comes from a book called A Tree Full of Angels. And it's very, very short. It says, loving energy is powerful because it is gentle yet firm. It is an energy that gives warmth, comfort, and spirit simply by its presence. It receives rather than takes. It invites rather than demands. It unfolds rather than controls. It empowers rather than overpowers. It finds itself in being rather than doing. It doesn't take time, it has time. It is a slow flame that burns from within, gradually transforming what it touches precisely because it touches rather than clutches. And now Susan's on a level where she understands exactly what life is all about. And hopefully she will continue to teach us. Dorothy gave me a letter here from her husband. Dorothy's sitting right here. Will is the one who played the trumpet for us. He was getting a little panicky there because we were getting late and he was running out of songs. I said, continue to play, and he said, that's all I know. I said, we'll repeat them. We thank you, Will, for doing that. Dorothy's husband is Pastor Kent Headland at the Rock of Faith Church. He's a Baptist minister, and it says, Dear John and family, at this time of remembrance today, at Susan's memorial service, we want to express our heartfelt sympathy in your loss. We know God is upholding you through this valley. In my visits with Susan, whether at the hospital or in her home, she always had a kind word to share. She once told me that God was helping her day by day and felt ready for the future. Her love was evidence of His touch upon her life. We're praying for you all. Jesus Christ will be your source of strength in the coming days. Just call upon Him. As the poem Footprints in the Sand puts it so well, please know that even now He is carrying you. May He be to you, Jehovah, this is from Jehovah, all four of these, the Lord who provides, the Lord who heals, the Lord your peace, and the Lord your shepherd. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Upholding you in prayer, Pastor Kent Headland and your friends at Rock of Faith Church. All right, that's what I have. What do you have?
Sir.
Yes.
Well, allow me to share my love and my thoughts and my feelings about Susan. I am a very old friend of the Hughes family, and I know Susan very much, and I loved her very much. I always called her my second daughter, and I was her second mother. Susan was a person, like Frank said, she touched many lives. She had a soul, a deep, deep, deep feeling soul. She was a lady. She didn't make no distinguished things because one is in power and one has a lot of money. She looked at the person and she seen that person's soul and she felt that the person is in pain. She embodied somebody who never gave up. I used to tell her that God never closes all the doors before he cracks a window. And that we have to work hard to look for that crack in the window. And many times when she and I went down over the phone, she says, "Mom, I still am looking for that window crack." I said, "Me too, just keep on looking." She was very dear to me, and I will forever love Susan. It's just that simple. Some people have a knack to bond with many people. There is an unspoken, some kind of a thing, twine, which binds us together. Even though we are far apart, no family, just a distant family. And that's what she leaves behind her. Her kindness, her understanding, and her very hard work towards a life that she felt and she conquered. Except her candle went out and God took her from us. So I can say, and I'm glad leaving all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yes.
My name is Gina, and I met Susan. I'm sitting here thinking that I met her 8 years, 3 months, and about 12 days. And what I know is that people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And Susan taught me so many things. She taught me how to learn how to love myself when I didn't know how. She taught me about being selfless. She taught me that no matter what, that she would always believe in me. I met Susan through recovery, and she was my first sponsor. And for those people that don't know, understand what sponsor means, it's like being a mentor. And she spent every Saturday with me for a couple of hours for almost 2 years. She took her own time to be with me, to help me so that I wouldn't go out and use. She taught me the importance of friendship. She brought so much love into my life. I'm so eternally grateful to her. The things that she taught me those years ago, I've never forgotten. Little things like being good to yourself, understanding who you are, being aware of what you can become. Because of Susan, I have graduated with a master's degree. Because of her, I have a job that I can be proud of. Because of her, I understand how to love. Because of her, I know how to accept love. And that's probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever tried to learn how to do, is to accept love. And sometimes I think that it's something that's supposed to come naturally, but everybody doesn't know how to do that, how to accept unconditional love. And she taught me that, and it's interesting how you don't recognize all those things until many years later. And just sitting here, I was thinking about that. I was in Susan's wedding when she married John. And just remembering back, thinking about how much love she had for me, to ask me to be a part of that is something that's very important and very precious to me. John, I want to thank you for being in her life. Many people don't get an opportunity to marry their best friend. And you were privileged to have done that. And I'm very grateful to have been a part of your life as well. Susan, I'll never forget you. You will always
blah, 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 blah. But guess what it said to you? Love Susan.
Thank you. Yes.
I've known Susan since now. I've known her quite a while. We were in different marriages, president, granddaughter. But really a good friend. Susan had a lot of ups and downs and a lot of struggles in her life. She seemed so content with John. They were like, the young lady said, they were very good friends. And I was so pleased that she had had these years with John, having happiness in her life. That's what makes me happy. Really good friends and
Thank you.
My name's Leo, and I'm glad to be here. And John, thank you for inviting me. I hadn't talked to John for a couple of years. Where's John hiding? He's down here somewhere. I also met Susan and John about 8 years ago, also involved in recovery. I was trying to get well. John was trying to help me. I wasn't helping myself a whole lot at that time. I wasn't participating very much, but John and Susan, John was my sponsor. I spent a fair amount of time in their home when they lived in the West End, and I will say that for both of them, I have never met someone more caring or giving or selfless. And I remember around the time that they had to move out of that apartment and they didn't have a lot of money. I remember I was at their wedding. I wasn't in it, but I was there. And they had a place in the West End, and I would come over. I don't remember if it was Saturdays or Sundays. I would spend time with John. And Susan was exactly what you said. You felt good around her no matter what she was going through. Often when I came, she was sick. She wasn't feeling well. She would get out of bed and try to cook me something, and I would say, you don't have to do that. No, 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 no. We have food. And they didn't have very much money. And, you know, she couldn't let you come in her house without feeding you and making you feel warm and making you feel comfortable. And there were times when I think John had about had enough of my shenanigans, and Susan would call me and say, you know, John really wants to see you. And he's just not going to tell you that, so you'll have to come over. And she'd involve herself in your, she did with me, she'd involve herself in your life, like you said, in a way that isn't noisy and isn't pushy, and she just cared about people. And I was certainly, I'm better off for having known her. It's all good.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have lots of things to share about Susan, but so much has already been said. I think I brought a few little symbols. One, I brought the yellow rose, and when I found it this morning, it was all rose. And it's like, the first time I saw Susan, I thought, what a beautiful looking person. And she looked beautiful. But as you got to know her, she opened up, you saw the real beautiful person inside. So many of us had experiences of her being gentle and caring and loving. I called John the other day. He said, just bring your memories. So, well, that's easy to do. When I talked to him Tuesday, all I felt was sad. But seeing all of you here today, I know she would be really happy. Did you hear that nice gentle, did you feel that nice gentle breeze every now and then? I think maybe Susan's giving us that little breeze to remind us of her gentle presence. She went through a lot. We talked about things she went through, but we also talked about recovery, like this gentleman and lady said. I worked with her at Edgewood, so we had a lot of things in common. This is one example of her generosity. For a period of time, she gave out supplies for our offices, and I asked for 2 pencils. Guess what she gave me? A whole box full of pencils. Nobody had ever given me a box full of pencils. And then I said, you know, I thanked her and everything, and she said, well, do you like Eversharps? And I said, yeah, I got these little big Eversharp things, or whatever you get, 10 for $1 or whatever you get those things. So guess what she brought me? She brought me a nice Pentel Eversharp and erasers. She knew about our mistakes. And then she also brought this whiteout thing. That was just before we, I didn't go with her to the New Edgewood, but she came out my office lots to talk. I don't know when she worked, Frank, if she was in your office and my office. She roamed around. But she brought joy and gentleness wherever she was. And she even showed me how to use this thing. You know, they make these whiteout things. Anyway, that's two things to take care of our mistakes. But I just wanted to say she was so beautiful to look at, so beautiful to know inside. And I know she'd be really happy and pleased. She is happy and pleased to see all of us here today.
Thanks, man. Yes. Yes.
She was a really special woman. First of all, she was so intelligent. I don't know if anybody knows how quick she was, but she understood from the very beginning what we were trying to do and how it was possible to prevent breast cancer. And she was so enthused and so proud to be doing it for Christy and Alexis. She wanted future women not to be stalked by the thing that stalked her, but one of the things was breast cancer. And as everyone has said how good she is, no matter what I asked her to do for the study, when I would ask her to promote it, we had the guy from Channel 4, the newsman from Channel 4, Al Wyman. Yeah, when we asked Al Wyman to come and interview her, I said, would you be one of the people? Yes, I will. We had Kate Quinn come and do the same thing. Yes, I'll do that. I asked her to be a mentor for new people to kind of get them into the program and tell them what it was all about. Sure, I'll do that. She was extremely generous and she was so enthused about what she was doing and proud to be part of it. And even when she had to go to the hospital and they would try to take her study pills away from her, she would fight them. You remember, John? She'd say, no, you can't take these pills. These are very important to me, because she really wanted the research to continue, and she was very happy to be part of it. So I can't tell you how much we're going to miss Susan in our program, but also me just personally. She was a standout. And if the way she conducted herself in the study was any inkling of how she conducted the rest of her life, and it sounds like it was, I can see why so many of us are here to say why so
Everyone's content. I think Susan would like that. I'll tell you one thing. She also had a lot of patience. The thing that I enjoyed about Susan was she was like an open book. When you ran into her, there she was. And she shared her pain, she shared her joys, but she also had time to hear yours. And that's a beautiful friend. And if you can walk through life and people say, that was a friend, that means a lot. I know she's doing fine. On the weekend retreats, Susan knew about them, and they knew that people really grew and learned a lot about love that you were talking about. Susan was good at that. And she wanted John to come. I said, well, just tell him to come. She said, oh, Frank, you don't know him. And I didn't at that time. So I said, well, just be patient. He'll come. It took her about a year. And then I went to work one day, and Susan came into my office and was filled with more joy than usual. And I said, what's going on? She said, John agreed to go on a weekend retreat. It took her over a year to have that happen. She was very persistent in helping other people. Beautiful, beautiful lady. John? It was a privilege for you to have her as a wife, and we're glad that you shared it with us. All right, everyone warm enough to take a break, and where do we go from here, John?
I just wanted to say something. If I can say it.
Sure.
I don't know if I can. I just wanted to read something. You know, I thought all week about, those of you who know me know that I'm not at a loss for words. I can give you all you want and then some. So I'm not going to say much. I'm going to thank you all for coming. I'm going to thank you all for being part of her life. This is 1 Corinthians 13, and I was trying to think of something profound to say, and this says it better. This is what our relationship was all about. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And that summed up our relationship in a nutshell. We weren't perfect. We were far from perfect in our relationship. But we, you know, the times where I just wanted to kill her and she wanted to kill me, because we were both very strongly opinionated. I just remembered, in sickness and in health, for better or for worse. And I hope people that are young in their marriages will remember that. That's what that means. You know, if you don't agree with it, don't do it. You know. So I want to thank you all for coming, and I know it's extremely hot out here. If any more people want to share something, you can just share it. Share it with each other.
Lucky you.
Oh no.
There's a couple pens over there, Steve.
Where?
Over on the other table.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's not that.
Oh, there's your arrangement change. This works. The tent over there.
Oh, so what's this?
This would be a 6 feet from.
Oh, okay, that's not mine. That's great stuff. Oh, that's
Well, I thought about that, Steve, but this was chicken.
Well, I hope actually, you know, by the time we start, there's going to be more shit over there.
Right?
Yeah. Because I was scouting this out yesterday. See that? Those.
Oh, you are. something that went out to you. So we'll have to call the office sometime. Find out exactly what it is. Yeah. That'd be fine.
You feel it around here really pretty.
They're dying back there when it gets like that. They don't have the air conditioning.
Well, summertime is always, I've always had this thought of summertime. You know, all my life.
It's pretty hot out here.
Okay, so is the gentleman in the orange shirt and the gentleman in the striped shirt our daughters?